Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Alfabin Samsul, matrix number 2316356. So today I'm going to present the book Milestones by Sayyid Qutb. Alright, so Sayyid Qutb was a prominent figure in Iran. He has written a lot of books. Unfortunately, he has been sentenced, he has been imprisoned and sentenced to death. However, his idea has still been flourished in the books up until today. And one of the most significant books is Milestones. So Milestone is a non-fiction book. He talks about his critical thinking, his point of view, how he envisioned Islamic society as a global mission, and criticize some of it and praise some of it, right? And eventually, it is a very interesting read. So let's first start off with the first chapter, the unique Quran generation. And I believe there is a reason for Qutb to place it at the first chapter, because the first chapter will have to build the foundation to help understand the next following chapters. So who are the Quranic generation? Who is this people? So the Quranic generation refers to the people that embraced Islam on the first period of it, right? And Qutb quoted them as special generation ever existed, because as if Quran helped them to quench their thirst, they will make Quran as their sole guidance. Alright? They have been training by the method prescribed. Alright? So these people, they have used Quran as the absolute guidance for them, and it happens that they do receive the purity of it. The purity of its message of the soul guidance, alright? And not mixed with other various sources. For example, us in the generation nowadays, we have received a lot of sources, and then we will see the Quran. How does it align with our life? Alright? And then we will look upon. That's different. What happens and supposed to be is we will look to the Quran and then we will look to the sources. Does it align with the Quran? Alright? If it does not align, we should remove the sources. Alright? Sources has to follow the Quran, not Quran has to follow the sources. And this is what is the art of learning. Okay, so the art of learning, Qutb compare us to two groups, which is first is the old generation, which is them, the Quranic generation, and new generation, which is us, the believers of the current time. He compared how they use Quran. So the old generation, how do they utilize Quran? Is they use it to find out what God has prescribed to them, what Allah has prescribed to them and to their group, what they have to do and what their group has to do. Alright? And we have to understand that during that time, they have not received Quran in fully manners, in fully text. They receive it little by little. Alright? And then when they receive one, they will act upon one. Alright? When they receive 10, they will act upon 10. So this is very effective, because Qutb says when we are overloaded with a lot of information, if they receive a lot, they will become burdened and eventually they will not want to do it. Right? So effectively, little by little and act upon it. So there is instruction to be called for action, right? Instruction for the need of action. You do not just read as of read. So what happens is that action becomes easy because it was one by one. And then Quran becomes their personality. So now when you look back at how do we use Quran? How do our generation use Quran? Do we use Quran after prayer to look for translation, for cultural information, for knowledge, for sciences, legal matters? How the purpose we use Quran is not the same the way they use Quran. So that's the effect, the different effects why we do not achieve the same effect they achieve. Alright? We should make Quran our sole guidance. Alright? To get the absolute purity of the message. Right? So now we're going to look the nature of Quran. So in Surah Al-Isra, verse 106, we have understood that Quran was sent gradually. And Qutb say there is a reason for the manners of the Quran to be served as gradual. Why? Alright. So Quran was sent gradually to accord the needs of the Islamic society in facing new problems. Alright? It helps them to grasp ideas and concepts. It helps them to the progress of general social life. Okay? New challenge faced by Muslims, because we have to understand during that time they are the first generation. They do not know how to act upon it. And Quran is the guidance. When Quran verses were sent to them when they are having problem, Allah will send them verses to them. Alright? And the verses would help them to solve their problem. Alright? To solve their issue. It will fit the events and situation. So what happened? The result. The verse could correct their mistake. So do you see what happened here? By using it and by practicing it, okay, I see there was a constant relationship. And Qutb mentioned a constant relationship whereby when they're having problem and Quran was sent down, they refer to it and they solve it, they act upon it. There's this constant relationship. What happened is it was as if there's a life guidance. Alright? That was continuous and supervision and continuous guidance and direction from Allah Almighty. Alright? And the result is they will mold their life according to the Quran. They will not act upon it until they receive instruction. They receive instruction, but then they will make it into action. So the instruction to be translated into action. Alright? So that's what makes them so great during the moment and how we should learn. So how can we learn the new generation? How can we make example? How can we learn from the old generation? So Qutb has prescribed the method. So during the time, the old generation, which is the Quranic generation, if a person embraces Islam, they would embrace it fully. They will cut off their Jahiliyyah life immediately. They will separate themselves, alright? And when they look back to their bad deed, they will feel fear, regret, alright? They will feel not to do it again. And if anytime temptation get overpower him, he feel desire take over him, lust take over him, he will feel a restless sense of guilt. Alright? And he will turn to Quran. And Quran will become the mode of it. Okay, he will then act how Quran asks them to do. So we can learn from this. And how? There's two ways. First of all, Qutb says we have to remove the Jahiliyyah influences for our life. The Jahiliyyah influences such as where we was born, where we live, and where we can get benefit from it. Remove it. Alright? And secondly, we must return to the Quran. And by return to the Quran, we must make it as our absolute guidance. Alright? Quran make as a sole guidance, alright? We cannot mix it with other various sources, alright? Because Qutb said it was a mixed pollution, alright? It was mixed pollution. Because when we mix the sources, we cannot get the absolute purity of it, the message of it, alright? So we have understand the gist of it. Now we're going to the second theme, which is jihad. Alright, so jihad is on the chapter 4, and I believe it has to be spoken up. It was really important. And jihad was the longest chapter of all. So when we understand jihad, to our understanding, jihad means like going to war, defeating enemies, and having internal affair, we're combating ourselves from being seen. Yes, sure, that is correct. But Qutb vision and definition of jihad is something new. He offers a new perspective, which is political and holistic. Right, to understand his vision, we first need to understand the foundational base lays upon it. So we have to understand this. So Allah is our creator and He creates earth and everything on it. Therefore, He is the authority and therefore He is the lawmaker. So we should follow His rule. So jihad here, it aims, alright, to establish Allah's authority throughout the world, throughout human world. Okay, it aimed to achieve, it aimed to release the whole world from servitude from other men. The real servitude should only impose to Allah, should only worship Allah, and we should follow the divine guidance. So jihad is giving the message of liberation, because Qutb say that when a nation was authorized, the authority was a man, and they are making a man-made law, there will be oppression and there will be unjust everywhere. It was prevalent to happen. Alright? So when we only follow to one, which is Allah, the authority and his divine guidance, there will not be oppression and there will be no injustice. So by jihad, it helps to spread, is it? Alright, Islam is the goal, the freedom of it. So it helps, the jihad aim to help liberate the people, no matter Muslim or non-Muslim, under the same Islamic system. But then it does not mean that the non-Muslim has to be anti-Islam. They are not first. Even in Surah Al-Baqarah, there's no compulsion in religion. So we all human, non-Muslim and Muslim stays under the one authority, which is Allah, under one Islamic system, but does not have to impose, does not have to force the non-Muslim to Islam. There's no compulsion in religion. However, they can still enjoy the freedom of it, the human dignity of it, as jihad would promote. Okay? So that's the vision of Qutb, and I believe that is very interesting and a new uptake for me. So, in overall, in conclusion, Milestone is a very good book, and we, as the current generation, can learn a lot from it. So, we need to reflect back on how the older generation of the Quranic generation, how do they utilize it, how do they use the Quran, and how do they use it. We can reflect from it, we can learn from it, and we can apply it, and eventually, it works successfully, inshallah, we can achieve the same result as each generation, right? And the jihad was very insightful for us to think and ponder as it will, it will evolve, correct? It was a call for wake up for us. And I believe it is very interesting and very beneficial. So overall, my son is a very good reader. Thank you very much.